Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing another selection of games from the round of 64 in the NCAA Tournament with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Joe Duffy's career and his record speaks for itself, killing it for 30 years as a professional handicapper. Joe Duffy, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you for having me, St. Peter.
All right, Joe, Baylor, Georgia State, one of these classic opening round games, right? Right now, Georgia State is an 8.5 or 9-point underdog. Total has dropped down a bit. It's 127 or 127.5. The line opened at about 7.5, so Baylor has taken some money. You know, Georgia State, they're not really a slouch. They got a bunch of guys on that team who are transfers from big-name programs, right? A Louisville transfer, a Kentucky transfer. Baylor, an excellent team, but you know, a little bit flawed. You know, they're looking to make a somewhat deep run here. Obviously, they should have the edge here. I'm going to take them in my bracket to advance, but 8.5 or 9 points, kind of a lot. I'm not exactly sure what I think. What's your take on this line, dear Joe Duffy?
This is one of those cases where I think really the only thing that Georgia State has going for them is they have a little bit less of a travel. They're only going to travel 285 miles to Jacksonville. Baylor, 921. As you said, yeah, Georgia State does have some good talent. The son of the coach, Taylor, is or R.J. Hunter, I'm sorry, is a heck of a player. And then Kevin Ware, of course, the transfer from Louisville, was involved in that horrible, freaky accident a couple years ago. So they do have some talent, to say the least. But at the end of the day, I think Baylor just matches up very well. They shoot the threes extremely well, and they're among the better offensive rebounding teams in the country. Meanwhile, Georgia State, they're not very good at defensive rebounding. So if Baylor, of course, makes those threes, it's very good. But even if they miss their shots, they're probably going to get a lot of second-half points. So I think the only real way that Georgia State has a chance to cover this is if Baylor just is absolutely awful from the field.
Well, that is possible, Joe. You know, Baylor seems like the kind of team that can disappear at times. You know, I don't think they're going to lose this game, but it's just a healthy number. It feels so scary to bet the favorites in round of 64 NCAA tournaments, right?
Yeah, it does, but at the same time, I just don't think that Georgia State, they're going to do a very good job penetrating. Baylor does very well with that zone where they stretch out the court, and they've done very well against teams that penetrate, and that's what Georgia State does. As you said, of course, Baylor's been a streaky team. Pretty much any team that likes to shoot the three is going to be fairly streaky. But as I said, what I think is going to be the big difference here is that Baylor should do very well on the offensive boards. I don't think that Georgia State matches up all that well at all, either on offense or on defense.
Okay, well, minus 8.5 is one of the widely available numbers. Joe Duffy, give a quick plug for OffshoreInsiders.com before we move on to our next game.
I just did another update before this. I can't even remember exactly how many plays I've got. I think maybe 6 for Thursday and already 5 for Friday. But just visit OffshoreInsiders.com because, frankly, the menu is going to be constantly updated. The Lord of the Big Dance, Joe Duffy's picks at OffshoreInsiders.com.
All right, sounds great, Joe.